into
Sure.
it? Probably because it hasn't crashed. Because it crashed so many times. Got
Let's see
it?
if I can share it.
And there you go. And because I know this about you, Fred, I'm going to go on Facebook and I know you. And I'm going to share it with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You got it. Share, share again, public. If you're wondering, this is how it works. Like, there's no secret to all of it. We're actually going to do something I've never done on this call, which will be kind of fun. I'm going to, all right, why aren't you doing that? Share to a feed.
You know what I love, Lee, when I come to these Tuesday, Wednesday events, um, and what Derek does is equally important on Thursdays. But what I love on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I never know what you're going to talk about,
I
but I'm
know.
always ready for it. I
Yeah.
mean, we have zero planning. I mean, I know you plan a lot, and I know you gather a lot of information. But me, I just come on here and commentate.
Yeah.
So I
No,
like it.
actually, you're going to like today. Today will be a little fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something I've never done. I actually talked to Derek about this earlier, which will be totally different than anything I've ever done. So, marketing is actually knowing the market as well, right? Like, so the whole gimmick for marketing at the end of the day, and I realize this is a marketing call. So, if you're on the call, there are 3 links. Those of you who have not scheduled your red calls with me, all right, me turn the fan off. All right. If you have not scheduled your red call with me, please schedule your red call. Lee just loves it. Lee loves to sit here all day and talk about marketing. Secondly, if you're watching this or you're live on Facebook, there's a link. Go to our website, join the company, join and be a part of our platinum program. My goal this week is to, all right, so last week we got all the red people in. This week, if you're a former Monster, AMS, anything, short sale genius, upgrade, get it over with. That's like my last goal on that one. And then we can finally move on to funnels and Daniela because the market is shifting. In fact, that's what we're talking about on Red this week, which is the market shift. Foreclosures have upticked, and that's great. So if that's you, you're on this call, click the link, schedule your time. We will talk about foreclosures this week because that's the direction of the market. Most of the markets are actually foreclosing right now, so we want to move in that direction. Simple as that. I'm going to do something I've never done. So I do a show called Fight Net Radio, which is a show on boxing. Fred, you're about to be put on the spot. And I thought it would be fun because I understand this from a marketing standpoint. Like, knowing what's going on in the market is what you want to talk about with clients. Like, it's what you want to put on social media. It's what we want to do with Red. It is the I don't even know how to describe it. It's what people talk about, right? So it's the trend, right? So, sorry with the NLP. First and foremost, to everybody on the call, hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for being on the call. Welcome for those on Facebook. Today, we're actually going to do something I rarely ever do. I'm going to do a Fight Net Radio style call with you, Fred. You're the expert. And you might want to be on hand, DK, because I think your feedback would be exciting as well. So here's how I do my boxing show. I read the headline. Those guys are experts. They give their feedback. I usually say something a little quippy. And that's kind of the show in a nutshell. We're going to do it with this week's headlines. But the point to it, I think, from a marketing standpoint is, hey, this is what's really happening in the market. So when I'm out on the street, when I'm talking to people, these are the things you need to be talking about because they're trending. Would you disagree with any of that, Fred?
No, not one.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do this. I've never done this for this group ever, so this should be kind of fun. Um, First one, Jeff Bezos backed real estate investment platform fully funded 12 properties in under 5 hours. All right, so let's talk about this for a quick second, right? So, where's the angle in the marketing? And that's your question. Investors are driving the market. I'm sure that's happening out in Coachella. It's happening here in San Diego. It's happening up in Northern California. Like, this is something we have to keep present in our mind, right? So when Derek, jump in on this. This is an icebreaker, right? Did you hear about Jeff Bezos? I mean, if you were talking to somebody who was an investor, this is like a casual icebreaker, right?
Well, I actually know a lot about what Jeff Bezos is doing only because the guy that I was going to use to do Airbnb on my house, he actually worked for Lauren Sanchez, and I bought his first house for him in September of 2019. And he was making money during COVID, doing Airbnb. He bought a 4-bedroom modest home with a swimming pool. I think it was 360,000. Today, he could probably sell that home for over $1 million because it's grossing $200,000 a month. Both neighbors he lives on a cul-de-sac. Both neighbors on both sides of him have now decided to do Airbnb on their properties because they see how many people keep coming and renting his house. And he gets about 10 rentals a month, and he charges $1,000 a day, maybe 15 rentals. But during Coachella and during Stagecoach, he makes $10,000 a night, and he's showing me how much money he's making.
Absolutely.
So Lauren Sanchez had 8 properties in and around LA. She was a Channel 11 helicopter news reporter, and that's who my buddy Charlie worked for. And then while he was working for her, we bought a house in Indio, and he called it his second home. Well, his full intentions were, I guess, to Airbnb it. And I couldn't know about that because obviously I'm doing alone as a vacation home. And now this is recorded, so I have it on record.
Yes.
But
this is,
but
yes. And by the way, when you shoot a lot of video, be very careful of what you say. It will
like
show
what I
up
just
someday.
said.
Oh my gosh. There are things
Spilling the
I've
beans.
said in regards to my daughter, and like, I wish I could take half back the stuff I've said.
So when Bezos and Lauren Sanchez got together, she replaced the wife, and everybody heard about how much money frickin' the wife got, from that divorce. Was amazing amount of money. But Lauren Sanchez and Bezos get together, and so now he, instead of having 8 properties to do for Airbnb, it was over 200. And he finally said, "You know what? That's it. I quit." But we bought the property for him first. Now he's got 4 of them. He's in his early 40s. He's making probably $800,000 a year in gross rental income. And he's, each property's good for $200,000 a year. And he's in his early 40s. And this all happened in the last 2 or 3 years. Now, let's just talk about this for a second. So the problem with this business is that the city council can get fed up with these Airbnbs and just say, forget it. We're not doing it anymore. That's what happened in Palm Springs, by the way. They shut them down. That's what happened in La Quinta, by the way. They shut them down. Rancho Mirage, same thing. So all the cities around Indio have said no more. What did that do to all the properties in Indio? It made them go up in value because that was the only place that you could do vacation rental now. And I'm just telling you what happened in my area. My home tripled in value because of that. Tripled in value. I'm remodeling the kitchen. I was in escrow for 1.2. And now I'm remodeling the kitchen. I'm putting another $60,000 in this house because the investor canceled on me. And that was my stupid mistake. I let the realtor write an offer sight unseen with the investor. And I should have known better not to go into escrow until the investor saw the property but I thought he was serious because he was driving from Dana Point, the realtor who was representing the investor. But they ended up canceling on me and my other buddy that I had a listing for in my community. So they canceled on both of us. Be careful of investors when you're the listing agent.
Absolutely, but that's the nature of the business right now, right?
Of course.
So if we're talking angle for marketing, and I'm sure many of you, and I know this with the red people, right? They're getting approached by investors. They want to use you, right? So what's your most productive angle when working with an investor? You want to talk about Bezos. You want to talk about these, like what he did was smart, right? It's a commodity at the end of the day. He's being very, very smart of invest. I actually had this discussion with someone we know in Orange County. And I said, what happens if you win the lottery? He goes, I'm not exactly sure. He goes, that's $300, $400, $500 million. He goes, I have millions of dollars, but he goes, I don't know what that kind of money looks like, right? So when you're talking about these investors, and I'm sure many of you have been approached by investors of this caliber, you have to be very careful. And they're looking for something that's going to give them a complete return on their money. And when I mean complete return, it's completely vested. They're making, Fred and I have talked about this repeatedly, 5-10% on doing
More than that.
Airbnbs. Oh, easily.
Yeah,
right?
more than that.
More than that. I mean,
and this is
if you had San Diego, well, right now you went back to back. You went Coachella, and now you're doing Stagecoach, which, by the way, if they had better acts, I'd be out there. But so you're doing those, or if you're talking about San Diego, right? Right now we're starting to hit our peak season, and I can see come on, it's just logical that, and I joke about this all the time about this place. We should move out and just rent the place out at $10,000 a night. We have a house that's like literally blocks from downtown, and San Diego is red hot right now. Like, these are very logical things to do. So
you can easily get $1,000 a night for that
easily
house.
Well, yeah. I know for a fact there's a house 2 down. I don't know if you were over here, but 2 down from us is one that's about half the size of us. It's a Vrbo. It's an Airbnb, and they're getting that money for a place half the size that I'm currently in right here. So if I'm being logical about generating money, right? I don't care if you have 5 billion. I don't care if you have 5 million. You got to be logical. And all of you on this call, all of you on Facebook, you're going to be approached by investors in this market. Like, I don't see any way around it, Fred. Like, the investors are kind of the locust of the market. Wow, good word.
So just a side note on what you just said about renting out your own place. My buddy Charlie also does that. He rents houses and then he turns around and gets an agreement with the seller or the owner of the property to run an Airbnb business out of it. So that's another way to create revenue. And what he does is that he splits the revenue 50-50 with the owner of the house. So if he's renting it out for $1,000 a night, he'll take 500 and he'll give $500 to the owner, and the owner doesn't do anything. And my buddy Charlie does all the legwork and, gets the furniture. The furniture to furnish these places properly, could be easily 30, 50, $75,000, depending on how big the property is. You got to be able to sleep a lot of people. Anyways, I just know so much about this now. I've learned so much about the Airbnb business, and it's just, I don't know why more realtors aren't doing it, but I'm glad that they're not, because personally speaking, it just, these Airbnb investors come to you when you have listings in the Airbnb areas, and then before you know it, you have a list of Airbnb investors, and they all have cash. They're all freaking really wealthy. A lot of them pay cash, or they have a lot of money in the bank, and they're very liquid and very capable of affording multiple mortgages. And all they want you to do is go find them properties.
I agree.
That's
I agree. They
hard.
just want to be fed. And it's great that they want to be fed. As we go into the summer season here, there's part of me that Derek and I should probably just go down to, Mexico, right, for the summer and enjoy time on the coast and double what I don't pay that much for this place. I mean, I got a great deal on it, but I know I can make more on a nightly basis and generate more income. And to be perfectly honest, and I would say this to everybody on the call, if you have an investor, you've got to be very careful when they're leasing out. You got to be very careful when they're resell. Like, if they're going to do it, it's got to be detailed. Like, one of the biggest mistakes, I actually know the owner, but one of the biggest mistakes is I can basically do what I want. You didn't outline it in the terms of my lease. So I can make 10 times on my money, and that's kind of on you. That's kind of the banker in me, but that's reality, Fred. Like, if it ain't on a contract, it ain't real. And
But the proper way to do it, and you know this, Lee, is just to approach them and say, "Hey, look, um, I'm in the real estate business. I know a little bit about Airbnbs, and I don't know how you feel about having people uh, rent this property out as an Airbnb, but if you are potentially interested in that, I would love to talk to you about that, because we can probably make about $1,000 a night. I'll do all the work, and we'll split everything 50-50. Would you be open to a 5-minute conversation about that?" And they're either going to say yes or no. And if they say no, then, all right, you have a decision to make. Should you do what you want and go pay for the licensing? But when you go down to the city and you got to go get the short-term short-term rental business license, you're going to need the owner's signature on that. So there's, a few things that you're going to need, if you don't want to forge their signature, of course, that would be, but you don't want to go around the system. You kind of got to get them on your side, and then say, there's a huge market for this. And then my buddy Charlie has a computer program with Airbnb, and what it does is he can click on any house that's listed on Airbnb in his neighborhood, and he can tell you exactly how much this house is making per month per the Airbnb analytics, because they have that data. Now, that the house may be making more money than what is showing on the website of Airbnb, because of course they might have rented it out on VRBO or a different website. But the point is that it can tell you how much each house is making in the neighborhood: 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, swimming pools, no swimming pools. It tells you all that data. It's phenomenal information that you can give a potential owner of a home for them to consider the investment opportunity. And I know all that data. I have all of that data. I know where to get all that data, and it's a powerful sell.
there you go. Moving on to our next story, keeping up of what you should be trending on. Fortune just literally yesterday created a map of the most overvalued properties in the United States. And some of them are slightly shocking, some of them are kind of obvious. We've talked about Boise, Idaho, and I said it correctly, Boise. We know Vegas. Check these numbers out. 73% overvalued in Boise, Fred. Lake Havasu in Kingman, 56%. Las Vegas, 46%. Flagstaff, 51%. Prescott, 43%. 46. Why do you think Zillow got out of these? San Diego, we chime in at 29%. Miami, 30%. Naples, Florida, 38%. One of my favorites. Palm Bay, 48% in Florida. Atlantic City, 32%. Jacksonville, North Carolina, 38%. The reason I tell you about this, Muskogee, Michigan, Muskegon, 59%. Like, these markets are overvalued. They're grossly overvalued and they don't meet the prices. So when we talk about marketing, again, you need to be aware of your market. I'm going to share the link on both Facebook for everybody. I think this is one of the best things that they've actually done. I mean, Sherman Denison, Texas, 60% overvalued, Fred. Like, these are literal holes in the wall. But so when you're talking about marketing or talking about people on the street, how important is it to know the overvaluation of property?
Well, the question that people always ask is this a good time to buy? I mean, that's the number one question that I get asked on a daily basis. Is this a good time to buy? And it goes back to everything that I've said all the time. And I'll just repeat it since we're talking about it. First of all, I ask people, what do you think is going to happen to housing prices? And I point at them and I say, what do you think is going to happen to housing prices? And I shut up and I listen. And it's 50-50. 50-50. Some people think up, some people down, some people stable, whatever they think. And then I give them some data. And then when I give them the data, I ask them, did any of that information that I just gave you change your thinking at all? And of course, some of them say, yes, it did. Some of them say, yeah, but we still have low inventory. And that's a hell of a good point, because even if we have all these foreclosures, if the inventory remains low, I could see the values, not going down as much, because you're still going to have a supply and demand issue. In Bakersfield, this is where I said California real estate is resilient. When people were getting kicked out of their homes because they were getting foreclosed on in 2009 and 10, and you put a for rent sign in your neighborhood, and the people were getting 30 phone calls for rent, and some of these idiots were offering $400 higher than the actual rent on the property, because they wanted their kids to go to the same school. They wanted their kids to have the same friends. They wanted to stay in the same neighborhood. They didn't want to pick up and go anywhere. So it just proved to me how resilient California real estate is. And it is a supply and demand issue. That doesn't mean that I don't think prices of homes are going to come down. It doesn't mean that. I'm just watching the inventory. When sellers start listing their homes for sale, and interest rates are now 3% higher than they were literally 6 months ago. I mean, we're talking 2.625, and today we're talking 5.375, 2.75% higher. And guess what they're doing tomorrow, everybody? They're going to be raising the interest rates another 0.5 point.
Correct.
But
I'm sure somebody talked about it maybe 2 weeks ago, Fred. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm sure there's somebody who said, 7% before the end of the year, I think is my quote. Am I starting to look like a genius at this point?
Oh, Lee, I'm telling you, you were not. I mean, wow. I mean, I I was conservative at one, but I really thought that was a good number. No, not even close. It's insane.
It's
It's
insane.
insane.
Like they're well, you have to. You have to. I had this discussion with an investor about 3 or 4 years ago, a friend of ours, and I go, I don't know why they haven't done it now. Like I don't like from a banking standpoint, what are you guys doing? Like that was pre-pandemic, that was pre everything, and you guys just kept kicking the can till you got to this point. Now you got to. I literally will not be shocked if we hit 10% before the end of the year. I will not be shocked. I think seven is probably the correct number, or 7.5. But if they went all the way to 10, I'd go, well, in the 90s, it was 11, 12, 13, and you were happy to get it. I mean, I'm not being a jerk. That's what they had to do.
But it's at these prices that make it unreasonable.
Correct.
And the housing affordability numbers, I am like waiting for those numbers like a kid in a candy store right now. And I want to really see what these numbers are and what percentage drop there has been on the housing affordability numbers. And then if inventory increases and housing affordability is way low and interest rates are 3%, 2.75% higher, and every seller in America says, you know what? I really think we're going to need to sell if we're going to sell at the top of the market, honey. And if they start thinking and having those discussions around the dinner table, and if you're at a restaurant, pay attention to what people talk about. I can't tell you how many times I'm at a restaurant and
And you hear that conversation over your shoulder.
Oh
my God.
I hear it all the time.
All the time.
And I'm like, God, a part of me wants to go give them my business card, but I don't want to look like a stupid, sales like a ambulance chaser.
But isn't that just good? Well, and that's the point of today's call. Like, don't we need to be aware of these conversations around us? I mean, everybody who's on this call, generally all speaking, here on this call, you're all advocates, you're all a part of the program. If you're watching this on Facebook, you want to do real estate. I assume you want listings. Isn't it our job at the core of being ethical or being part of the code of ethic? Isn't it kind of our job to jump in?
Oh my God. So much of me wants to, but then I'm like with somebody across the table from me and they're like so sick of me hearing, on the phone all day long and talking my business. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to save this poor person that's sitting across the table from me. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I mean, inside my body, it's like,
oh no, I scream. I scream inside myself. Like,
yeah.
And with all due respect for everybody on the call, I think I have a stronger grasp of the market than probably most people. There are a couple of people on the call that I'd probably be very interested to go toe to toe with on market data, but like, this is my job. Like, I wake up every day, I watch this. So when I actually watch the conversation, yeah, I'm sorry, what did you just say about what you think is going to happen here? Like, it's really like, I know that, is Marvin on the call? Marvin wants to go see comedy on Saturday. The odds are when we go see Brian Regan and we go out on Saturday, I get stuck in these conversations, and it's so I don't think people understand this about marketing, Fred. Marketing is you on the street. Marketing is you doing direct marketing with, say, the direct marketing method. Marketing is you creating content, right? So I'm hyper aware when I shoot videos. I'm hyper aware when you guys are, I cannot stress Derek literally killing himself on making the scripts better at the call center. But marketing is also you on the street, like your best marketing vessel when we have a marketing day, right? So why are we bringing these topics up? Well, the interest rate's above 5%. If not now, when? Right? Like the only conversation, Fred, is if not now, when? Do you think
Right.
this interest rate is coming down in your mind? The
Well,
government, right? I'm not allowed to do the voice. Derek has put kiboshes on me doing voices, but trust, I think the voice, it'll come down. It'll do this and mama. No, it's really not. Like we're at a point in the economy right now where the reason I gave you guys that link, we've overinflated the markets. People don't want to move. Investors are buying all cash and driving up your markets. Like this is an insane market. Like I started in 88, Fred. I have never, ever, and 88 was a crazy market. And it was a crazy market, right? Those are the days, if you're not old enough, which will date me, we had second, third, fourth position leans. Like you could walk into a beneficial branch and get a fourth position lean on your piece of dirt in Indio. Like that's not a thing anymore. But in those days, those were very real things, and they were based on appraisals and the overvaluation of the market, and that market completely collapsed. This is I have never seen a real estate market like this, Fred. I have literally, and I've seen a lot of real estate markets. This is so I've got to learn. Let's say I'm out with Marvin, or I'm out with Derek, or I'm out with friends, or I'm out with my girlfriend, like whatever I'm out with, right? Isn't it my job as a marketer and an advocate to step in and go, I'm sorry, what did you just say behind me? Right? This is the David used to make this joke, the hot dog pitch, right? I'm sorry, what did you just say behind me? Isn't it when you get that real estate license, isn't it in the code of ethics for you to be that person?
oh,
Yeah, tough
so
one, right?
so 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 it there, time and place. There's a time and place for everything, right? Um, and you got to be the best judge of character on that. And if you do it to everybody, you know, if you give your opinion to everybody that starts talking about real estate, they may think in their mind, especially people who are entitled or people who have a lot of money, they may think, who the hell does this guy think he is? Right? That may come to mind. Like you have no freaking clue. And this may be a guy who is not in real estate, but he's a wealthy man and he's got an attitude to go along with his wealthiness. There's people like that. We all know them, right? Then there'll be another person like, well, I don't really know, I don't really I'm not really savvy in this, real estate market. So I don't know. And maybe on that situation, like, well, I I do have a little bit of information if you're interested in hearing about. I guess you could say that, but it just depends on who the people are that are talking. I mean, because then before you know it, if you get into a confrontational, like,
Well, that's always my issue, right? My issue
yeah,
is, all right, and this is the DK Lee angst, right? Like I always push people, but kind of my attitude these days is you're just wrong. I mean, I would be interested to if Terrell wants to comment in the field. Like, you're a PhD. Like, there's nobody smarter than you. There's nobody like you're the smartest person in the room. I'm going out with somebody who's a lawyer and a realist. There's nobody smarter than her. Like, there's nobody smarter than her. And I watched this weird little passive thing that we all play of but what why are we doing this? Like what do we do? Like what's the game here? Like I don't understand it.
well, Tina does. Tina understands it perfectly because she goes, I was in a post office yesterday and started talking real estate, and she gave her card. So when you're waiting in line and it's a captive audience, right? And you're doing nothing but looking at your phone or texting or something like that, the topic can easily come up, and there she goes. If you know anybody that's losing their home or looking to buy or looking to sell, here's my card.
And it's kind of the door knocking script, right? That's the classic door knock
Yeah.
script. And T. Miller, not true. I know what I know, the rest I don't know. Strangely, T. Miller, you're downplaying what you know. I mean, I don't want to break it to you. You went to school a long time. Like, to be a doctor is kind of an impressive thing in my book. Like, and still, I, I don't, I understand real estate agents who are, how do I say this delicately because it's on Facebook? There are a lot of you who don't know what you know. Like, you believe that taking the real estate exam prepared you for life. That's not what we're talking about here. You're keeping up on the trends, you're keeping up on the interest rates, you're able to explain these things like without being a jerk. You can explain, you know, the disclosures on a contract, which you borderline have to be an attorney for these days. So we get caught up in these angles. I think that there's something to be said of, yes, trust like when you're out on the street. But there's also, if you're going to have a conversation on a day to day basis, I know this because I've gone out with Marvin. Like, he gets extremely confident when he talks about real estate. Like, I think that there's something to be said about a power of position when you're talking about it, Fred.
It's passion. He has a lot of passion for it. So that passion exudes itself as confidence. But you know what? I like to do exactly what Tina was talking about. I play golf every Thursday morning. And when the topic of real estate comes up, and I don't bring it up, I'm never the first guy to bring it up. But when it comes up, oh my God, I got a lot to say. And I'm like, you got your notepad ready? Because school's in session, boys and girls. I'm going to lay it out on the line and I'm going to give you some good advice. But, you're not going to remember half the stuff I say. But, that's kind of my attitude without, being and saying those exact words. But I'm like, oh, you got a pen and a paper? It's go time. Because I love to talk about real estate. I can't help it. It oozes out of my veins.
I just had this discussion with Derek. He's like, I know you get up at 5. I know you're watching all the video. I go, yeah, well, I shoot videos with people. It's my job to find viral trends for people who do red marketing. That's like, we're going to talk about this stuff. We're going to talk about foreclosures on the jump. In fact, it was Dr. T. Miller who's like, oh no, things have changed in LA. They're actually foreclosing. Like, this is for real right now. Like, it's gotten very real. And so I can see the trend. Like, I'm not a monkey or a moron on the topic. And so it's my job to watch. I think it's important. Like, I don't believe people really understand the importance of, do you really know what's going on? Like, there are people buying things in the metaverse. There are people doing foreclosures, like, where it's like, this is all really happening right now in 2022. Like, people are buying virtual space inside of Facebook. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Right? But it's my job that when somebody brings up a topic, right, even here locally, when I'm out and about, one of the best icebreakers, I keep up on local crime. I keep up on local politics. Like, it's my job, right? So if I'm out and about or scooting, or I stop and have a club soda and I'm talking to people, I think there's something to be said about knowing what's going on in your market all the time, right? Like, you should be the expert of your market, right? You're coming up on Wagon Wheel or whatever it is. Stagecoach. I know your act's probably better coming to Stagecoach than you do.
Stagecoach was last weekend, so the festivals are over. But
I probably knew the acts for Coachella and Stagecoach better. It's not for any other reason than, oh, you're going to Coachella, so you're going to go see, I don't know, Bad Bunny or whatever it was for that week. Oh, you're going to Stagecoach. I was really disappointed they didn't have Luke Bryan this year. Like, I didn't like the acts. I actually would. I always want to be able to, and I think this is probably on Derek and probably your influence of me trying to learn ways to communicate with people, right? Like, I'm not going to get new clients or new agents or new listings or new anything without being able to icebreaker have discussions. I'm just not. Like, if it were left up to me, I will tell you exactly what I watch. I watch videos on survival. Yeah, that's not a normal conversation, Fred. Like, you're not walking up to someone. Let's say I go out with Marvin this weekend. I don't know if we got the Brian Regan thing, but he invited me. Let's say I go to Brian Regan. Like, that's not a normal conversation with the guy in the seat. Now, what are you into? Survival videos. I'm into survival videos. I want to know how to survive with a knife and a fishing pole for a week. I'm sorry. What did you? Can you imagine that conversation? Like, if that were the entire bulk of what I know, it would be crazy.
Yeah, see, that's exact. Tina's got it, and Derek's got it. Okay, so when Derek gets his haircut at the store, he's talking whatever he's talking about. But whatever he's talking about it with passion, and they always ask for your opinion. That is the key. So I started to answer the question. I asked them, okay, so when they ask for my opinion on real estate, the first question I do is I throw it right back at them and I say, what's your opinion on real estate? And I say, if you think prices are coming down and you're paying cash, hang out. Don't buy yet. Do not buy yet. If you think that prices of real estate are coming down and you're a cash buyer, when should you buy? After the prices go up or before the prices go up?
I agree.
Okay, so that's one question I ask. Then the next question I say, well, if you're financing the property, when should you buy? Before interest rates go up or after interest rates go up?
I agree. Right. So, okay. So let's look at the stories that we addressed it. The overvaluation, people buying crazy shit. Sorry, Sally. And right, foreclosure activity, but more importantly, like, this interest rate is the hottest topic in real estate by far, Fred. This interest rate thing is legit. Oh
yeah.
So let me talk from a marketing standpoint, right? Because this is our marketing call. Today was kind of in my brain talking about icebreakers and being aware of the market. But have you had to your big giant list, have you had a discussion with your email list about the interest rate?
I had not sent out an email since January, and I sent one out on Thursday or Friday. So yeah, I just, I can read what it says. Let me pull it up real quick.
Absolutely.
What did I write?
And for those of you, again, in the comment fields, if you're live on the call on both Facebook or here on the Zoom call, there's a link to schedule your red calls. We'll be talking about foreclosures this week. Secondly, there is a link for those of you who are previous AMS Monster, whatever. We're going to retire the upgrade link this week. I've been trying to be, good word, T. Miller, judicious about retiring my links because I think I'm a little too aggressive. And number 3, if it's your first time on one of these calls, please go to homeadvocates.io. This is part of our weekly coaching session. We just decided to do this one for the entire group. I do it kind of randomly, but I wanted to talk about the news because I think the news is a driver constantly for anybody involved. So if you have done Short Sale Genius, AMS, Monster, anything with me in the past, there is a link for those of you on the call. Thank you for joining. For those of you who have not scheduled your red call, please do so. And if you're brand new to this whole thing, I watched DK our CEO, Derek Kelly, sending out links. Please get involved. We work with foreclosure property. That is our thing. But I think one of the things that we try to do on Tuesdays and Wednesdays specifically is try to educate you on what the growing trends are in the market. So when I'm shooting content videos, I want them to be on the trend. When I'm doing direct marketing, I want to be able to give the best script to my clients. More importantly, because all of you who are a part of this program are on page 1 of Google when you type in the word Home Advocates. And feel free to Google it for anybody. I want you guys to be educated. Like I really believe in that code of ethics. Like I really do believe that if you're having what my former partner David Bartels would say, the hot dog conversation, I think it's your job to turn around and be the voice of reason. I really do. Plus, I believe that it leads to business. All right. Got your email?
I do.
All right. It's on you.
Okay, so inflation has caused interest rates to increase 2.75% in the last 90 days. With interest rates increasing 2.75% in the last 90 days, three more short-term interest rate hikes in 2022. The economy gaining jobs at a record pace. We lost 22 million jobs in the pandemic. We got 20 million of them back. 8.5% year over year inflation in March 2022. Higher rates are a major concern. Take advantage of these rates before the next Fed hike on May 4th, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. If you are interested in joining, I'm going to turn all this off and we're going to do off the record conversations as we always do. I love doing that for the coaching group. So first timers, long timers, we're going to do your calls right now. Go to homeadvocates.io. If you've got the link, please schedule your calendar. And also, did I miss anything? If it's really your first time, raise your hand on the call live. I would love to have Derek give you guys a call and let you find out about being involved in our program. If you're on Facebook, just call us 833-969-4673. We work with pre-foreclosure properties, which are at a 600% increase. All right. So that